Well, hello loves and happy Sunday to you. So today I am going to look at this one. This is a good one. This is one of the collage paper sheets, probably 3 or 4 videos ago, and I'll link up above to that video. But about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I did a master sheet, a collage master sheet, and showed you how I did it. And I got so many comments about it, and everyone said, now what do I do with the pieces that we cut? So today I'm answering that question. I am going to cut this up and show you how I use it in some projects. So before we start diving into that, I just want to let you know that you have one more day to sign up for the Mixed Media Insider membership, and then the doors will close. And I hope that you will check it out, because there's just so much goodness, so much depth in the projects, and depth in how we approach our work, and how we think of ourselves as artists, and how we talk to ourselves when we're creating, and all of those things. I try to give you the technical side and also the heart side of art within the membership. So I just wanted to let you know that before we dive in. I'm also going to walk you through the entire process. I don't typically do that with you on a lot of the projects here on YouTube, but in the membership I give them an additional breakdown. I explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm going to do that for you today to give you an example of something that might be in the membership, or that is in the membership. Every Sunday Inspiration has an additional breakdown for the members. So I just thought I'd let you know that, and I would do that for you today in honor of it being the last day. You know, you have 24 hours to sign up for the Mixed Media Insider membership. So I will leave the link of that below, and you can go check that out. Any stencils that I use today, I don't know what I will be using. I don't really know what I'm doing yet. I'm going to walk through it though with you. So whatever stencils I use today will be on sale. And all the supplies and everything will be listed below in the YouTube description box, or listed in the membership in case you happen to join. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit. So I've got my sheet out here, and this is, I did pretty much the exact same thing as I did in the video a couple weeks ago. And once we have this master sheet, and I just glued, you can just see, I just glued all different kinds of collage paper together. It's not fancy. And I glue them together instead of gluing them onto a sheet so that they're thin, like a regular sheet of collage paper. And I'm going to fold it over in half here, get somewhat of a half. I've got some thick paper right here. I may have to improvise on that. And then I'm going to fold this over again. I've got some really thick papers there. That's why I don't put it on another sheet of paper. Fold that in half, and then I'll cut it. And in the previous video, I did smaller pieces, but because I'm going to be working on 8x8, an 8x8 substrate, I'm going to cut my pieces bigger. Now, I probably will cut down. Okay, so how did I have this? I'm just trying to remember what did I do? I folded it like, oh, no, that's right. Okay. I'm going to do it like this. Now these are odd shaped, which is why I will be cutting them down. But I want to just pull them apart, because once we get them apart, they're no longer that huge master sheet. They're their own individual little masterpiece. And I've got all different kinds of collage papers on here. From tissue paper to wet strength tissue paper to heavier collage, all different kinds. So you'll see, when you watch that, if you haven't watched that other video, you'll want to watch it just so that you know how I create the master sheet. So now I've got 3 8x8 substrates. I've got my 3 8x8 substrates, and now I want to kind of audition. Like that feels pretty amazing, but I can move it around. That feels pretty amazing too. I kind of like this one more because it's got more contrast than this one, but we can add, we're going to be adding to it and taking away. So that's my process of taking these, and then I'm going to just turn the camera on and go to town, putting the projects together with my master sheet collage paper. Now I will be adding to it or taking away, however you want to look at it. I will have black and white gesso that I will be using, most likely soft pastels for any additional marks. And then that's really all I know right now. I'll kind of explain as I go. I do have out some additional like black and white. I want contrast because these are full of color and we need to tone them down and make them interesting, give them some subtlety, those kinds of things. And then I also have some additional like just neutrals, black and white neutrals in case I want to, put some additional collage paper on there. And that is really, I will be using some matte gel to put the initial sheet down. I will put this down. I will wet the back and put it down with some matte gel. You'll see me do that. No material is off limits. I have high flow out here. I have acrylics. Anything and everything. Do what makes you happy. That's always, always the best thing. So we'll kind of just slowly work our way through these 3 pieces and see what happens. So that's my plan for today, and I can't wait to share this with you. And I've had so many people ask, okay, what do I do? So I'm happy that I can get here and do this and show you what these little masterpieces will do for you. It's just a quick start because the blank page is always the hardest. The blank canvas, the blank substrate, whatever. It's always the hardest. You're like, where do I start? But if you're doing a master sheet, it's nothing. So there's no fear. And that's the whole point. And then when you cut these up, they are amazing how they look just in their impromptu state. And it's a great foundation for us to begin creating. And it doesn't have to, I'll be creating abstracts, but it doesn't have to even be abstract. Something like this would be wonderful for a floral, for a landscape, all of it. So there's so many ways that you can use these. And plus this exercise alone gets us to the table. And that's the most important thing, because once we're here doing things, the light bulbs start flying and or flaring or coming on. And we get so many ideas. So I'm excited to share this with you and walk you through it step by step. I hope that you'll check out the Mixed Media Insider membership. But I want to leave you with a quote, because this process that we're doing today and how I create in general, and hopefully the message that I continue to share here on YouTube and within the membership, is about your journey of just being here and not having to think about perfection, but just showing up for you. But this quote, just I was reading, I don't remember what I was reading, but I came across it and it just spoke to me, and it was perfect for today, and I want to post it in the membership and all those kinds of things. But the quote is by Howard Thurman, and it says, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive." Ask yourself what makes you come alive. And as creatives, I know for me, it's this. It's playing. It's creating nothing. and just being here and dabbling and doing things and getting ideas and sparking this wonderful thing that happens inside of us when we show up to our table. So don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive. Ask yourself that over and over and over again. And then go do it. Do it without judgment, without perfection. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. And that is one of my biggest goals within the membership here on YouTube and anything that I do creatively for myself and for you, is to demonstrate the fact that this act of creating makes me come alive. It's what I wake up thinking about. I think about ideas in the middle of the night. I can't wait to get to the table. And if I'm away for too long without creating, I get antsy, because this is what makes me come alive. And I want you to find that too. Whether it be this creative act, or any other thing, I want you to come alive. Okay, my loves, I hope your Sunday is restful and peaceful, and I hope that you always, always know that you are loved. I've got my 8x8 gallery depth wood panels out, and now I'm just trying to find the right section of each of my quadrants of mastersheet collage paper. And once I've found the area that I like, I just roughly kind of line it up. I'm not trying to be too particular about it. And I'll cut that master sheet apart. And this is one of the reasons why I like doing my collage master sheets by just gluing the papers together instead of putting it on top of another sheet of paper, is it's super flexible and thin, so that I can then manipulate it to fit onto whatever I want. And I like having the edges hanging over so that I can then cut it exactly. So I just spritz the back of that to really soften it so it'll melt right into the wood, into the gel. Grab my matte gel and just spread it all around, making sure that I get all the way out to those corners and edges. Very important, so that you get great contact. I'll put that down, put my parchment paper over the top, use a brayer, and working from the inside out, pushing all of that gel medium out to the edges and making sure that I have really good contact with my wood substrate. And then once I've done that, I will get a new piece of parchment paper, because I don't want any gel medium on that piece of paper, or the least amount of gel medium, I should say. Then I'll stack it with some books, something heavy, and put it on the floor. And I will let it dry. Letting it dry is the hardest part because I'm very impatient. But you have to just let it dry and do its thing. Then I will come back with my X-Acto knife and trim the edges right up close to the wood. And there might be some little overhangers and things like that that you can just quickly kind of sand off with a sanding block. Making sure that all the edges are down and there isn't anything sticking up or loose. And then I did that to all three of my wood pieces. Look, they're just fantastic the way that they are, but they need a little zhuzhing. They need some simplifying because they feel a little chaotic. And I need to decide where I want to bring in more contrast or less contrast, lights and darks, whites and blacks. And so this one that I'm working on here, I wanted to accentuate both of these, because I loved how the orange looked in the far left one. So I wanted to add more orange because I love the combination of the colors that I have. And the orange works really well. And I'm not an orange person, but when you put them with the other colors, that's why the collage sheets are so wonderful, because you're not planning anything. And then when you cut them up, you're like, oh, I would have never have thought to put those things together. So I'm just adding, some orange real messily to go with the style of the background. Now I will use tissue paper, wet strength tissue paper, to kind of pick things up to give it that kind of matted feel that the rest of the piece has. You can see I'm bringing in contrast in whites. And this is just the beginning. So these are the beginning marks and stages. And you have to do, there's always this, like, I don't want to mess it up, but you have to make a choice of what to do next. And when I stand back and look at them, or I take a photo of them, I'm able to see, okay, it feels too busy here, it feels too dark here. And so that area that I just added magenta to, it was a burnt sienna. And none of the other pieces have burnt sienna. And so I decided to add the magenta because those are the colors that I like in the background. So I want to bring those out a little bit more. And nothing is ever, in my opinion, nothing is ever just a huge mistake. It all adds to the piece. And I can always go back and bring back marks or bring back colors or different things like that. But the layers are what makes it so amazing. And those layers are what makes that master collage sheet paper just, awesome. Because it's so unpredictable. So I'm adding that magenta, added a little bit of water to it, and just kind of made it soft. And it's allowing the underlayers to show through. So I am making sure that I add some variety, some value of color. So I'll add white to my orange, add white to my magenta, and then I'm picking that back up, and you can see it gives it that softer feel and allows the layers to show through. And I did add the wider white brush marks because I like the look of that. And really, honestly, all of the marks and movements that I'm making are small. They're not these big, I'm not covering half of the piece. I'm just making small movements. And I did bring back that yellow to kind of have those three all go together. Marking back into some of the paint over and over again to give it some interest and to give it that layered look, like it's not fresh and new that I just added. And now I'm bringing in another version of contrast, but softer. This is my caramel color, and some Titan Buff and some gesso kind of mixed together to give me a real soft feeling. So making sure that you have some value changes in your colors makes it more interesting. And so really what I'm doing right now is I'm quieting some of the noise. I'm looking at the piece and I'm deciding which area I'm willing to let go of so that I can quiet some of the loud conversation that's happening and make there more of a quiet conversation in certain areas, because otherwise it feels too chaotic and too busy. This piece here that I'm working on, I didn't have to do much to it. I liked it just as it was, but I did want to add some of that softness. And the other two pieces were a little bit more crazy. But that's okay. That's the beauty of it. So I'm trying to decide with these two pieces which direction I want them to go. And I didn't want both of them to have those yellow marks going up and down. So I did land on one of them being in a different direction, bringing back some of that bold pink with my Posca markers. You can see I'm editing out now, so I'm not sure that I like that circle part at the bottom, so I'm bringing some color in. That's in the some colors that are in the other two pieces, and kind of eliminating some areas, but softly, small marks. Now I'm going to really bring in the contrast. And again, I want them to feel softer, more muted, more worn, like the rest of the papers. And doing this pickup like this is a wonderful way to soften and age your marks and get some really great collage paper in the process. And you can even use that leftover to stamp with. And in my opinion, dots are always good. It just makes me happy. So it was a natural choice for me to bring in. And I wanted them to be uneven and somewhat soft. So I didn't end up liking those marks that I put down there, so I just softened it up, and that just made it like a darker edge instead of those marks. I'm bringing back in a darker value of that violet color, and then some black. And this is soft black, but it's moody. It gives it some vintage feel, some age. It's my watered down gesso on a small brush, so I have a lot of control of where it goes. And I decided to put these dots here and then water them down so you could barely see them. And just adding that watered down black to certain areas to give it some depth. And as soon as I added a couple of those black marks in that middle, really bold black mark area on this piece, it felt really good, it felt right. And so you just have to try, because you can always wipe it up or cover it over. And this is kind of a teal green color that I'm adding, and because that color is already on this piece. And just bringing some of that in a darker value, adding a little bit of black to it. So I've got I'm pretty happy with how things are going with what I've got. There's always one that feels like the troublemaker that you can't quite find where it's going to go. And this one is it. And I realized that this one didn't have any teal in it. And I was like, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I'm struggling with. The other two felt really good at this point. And the other reason I wasn't quite sure about this one is because the white big mark comes right down in the middle of the piece. And I very rarely have anything focal or super contrasty right smack in the middle. So that's what I was kind of struggling with. Really trying to decide what's my next move. And so I felt like the white that I had down there was kind of competing with the other white. But I wasn't sure that I liked the main big white stripe. But when I kind of quieted that down, it felt a little better. And adding that contrast helped a lot for me. It helped me see it better. And if you're ever unsure of what marks to make, use a soft pastel because you can always wipe it right back up. So now I'm just kind of comparing the three to see, like, are they similar and yet different? And I'm back to this one. This is the problem child. And now you can see I'm starting to eliminate that whiteness right smack in the middle. That felt better immediately. So trust yourself. You can always bring the white back. So I've got my pieces in the place that make me happy. And I'm putting my words down, and my words are inspired from the quote that I read to you about coming alive. And that's what these pieces feel like. They feel like coming alive, joyful, energetic, happy, passionate. And I did do some writing about what I was feeling with the words that I put down and the quote. I'm using a fine line applicator, 18 gauge with black acrylic paint and a little bit of airbrush medium. And I just printed out my words on my computer, or I just typed out my words on my computer and printed it out. And put those down with matte gel. I got that dry, and I'm adding a little shading around my words to kind of integrate them into the piece. Give them a little bit of weight so it doesn't feel like those words are just stuck on there. I'm using a General's charcoal pencil in extra soft. And really all my supplies are super, super simple. I have a black roller in a tub that I keep just for this purpose. It's matte black paint, and I paint the edges black, and then I will come back and I will edge the edges in black. That is my style. That's what I love. You could do anything. You could paint the sides any color you want. And that is it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed today's Sunday inspiration, and I will see you next week.